Welcome, sinners. I'm Jayson,
And I'm Rebecca, also known as Emily Sin.
and this is the Sanctuary of Sin podcast. We will cover everything delectably sinful, from kink and queer culture to cults, sex positivity, and everything in between.
Let's get sinful. So for today's episode, we're going to be covering Rule 34 of the internet. If it exists, then there's porn of it. I've made up a couple of wee quizzes for Jayson to, test your internet knowledge and just kind of showcase the fact that, people are horny fucks, basically.
Yeah.
And have always been horny fucks. So you guys are more than welcome to follow along and see how many you can get. If you've not come across the term paraphilia before, probably the easiest way to describe it is it's just a kink or a fetish. How it's defined as an unusual sexual taste, basically. Some of them have been listed on the DSM as mental disorders, including sadism and masochism, which are kind of the most well-known ones, I would say, which is obviously being turned on by either inflicting pain or receiving pain.
Yep, I don't think that's really worthy of being in the DSM.
I hope that it will get taken out, eventually. So homosexuality used to also be included in the DSM under this list. So it was taken out in 1973. So quite a wee while ago.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, before it became legal in Scotland. And I think the UK, I think it was 1974 for England and that. So America was a wee bit... I mean, it was... At least it wasn't seen as a mental health disorder. I think the reason why sadism and masochism are still in there is because part of the kind of definition of it is it becoming an obsession in a way and affecting your daily life and potentially causing harm to yourself. And obviously both of those things have the potential of causing harm if done in an unsafe way.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's even on the cards really, because people can take these things to the extreme.
It's wild to me that something that is listed as a mental health disorder can simultaneously be that and be illegal.
Yeah.
It's either one or the other.
Maybe that's why they took it out. Maybe that was because people were no claiming insanity, but do you know what I mean? Essentially, if they were able to maybe that was a loophole.
Well, there was that thing in Sweden where everybody called in sick to work, saying they were feeling gay.
Yeah,
because it was seen as a disease.
Yeah.
So
I love that. That's great. It's what's that called again? It's certain compliance.
Malicious compliance.
So we've got a few obscure philias to kind of guess based on the name. I've put in a couple of easy ones,
right?
Or
okay.
I think they're easy, just because a lot of it's based on the Greek words.
Yep.
Kind of brought together.
I feel like you've doomed me by saying it's going to be some of them are going to be easy.
I'm just setting you up to fail. It's
yeah.
fine. We'll start with an easy one. So, objectophilia.
That's sexual attraction to inanimate objects.
Yeah. So this can take so many forms. This is very much an umbrella term, as I discovered, because wow. Seen loads and loads and loads of different examples of this from, people, everybody will have heard some story about the woman getting married to the Eiffel Tower, or people try to marry roller coasters and
cars.
Cars.
The first one I think I ever came across was years and years ago, sitting in the waiting room at a dentist, reading just one of the trashy magazines on the table, and it was this guy who was in love with his car and was sexually attracted to his car.
That's hilarious. No, because I'm kink shaming, but because I have the exact same story. The first time that I ever came across this as a concept was in the waiting room at a dentist reading one of the magazines, but it was a woman who was talking about the first sexual experience that she'd ever had was reading a Hoover catalogue and getting turned on by the Hoovers.
Right.
And I don't know that she had got married to anything, but she was just like obviously being interviewed about her objectophilia and like where it had kind of began and stuff, and that was like her first experience it. And I found that like that was like mind boggling to me. It was like totally just like I'd never heard of that before, never considered it.
Dentist waiting rooms are a very interesting place. Clearly.
That's wild. So I did come across an example of this that was brand new to me, and I found it so interesting because it had like a slightly different, I don't know what I call it, like an origin story, but like the person has their full Reddit's kind of dedicated to their fetish, and like kind of answer questions about it quite regularly, and had kind of explained where this had came from. But their thing is like fucking wet floor signs.
Right.
To the point like they've got one under their bed that they regularly have sex with. They've written and drawn like a 5-page guide on how to fuck wet floor signs. This is not how I was expecting. I mean, I don't know what I was expecting doing this episode, but like, yeah, finding myself reading through a guide on how to fuck a wet floor sign was not on my list of things to do that day.
And, like, how comprehensive a guide is this?
Very. I mean, like, I don't know, when I know that it's something that I think about regularly, but like through all this, you know, some of the examples that we've spoken about, like you assume that I guess they're just like that there's only so many ways that could happen. Like you can understand that with a car, like there's an exhaust, there's like a gear stick, like you can.
Yeah,
I don't think it would
kind
be
of obvious
necessarily
examples.
pleasant, but you could see like there's ways in which that could simulate like P and V sex.
Yeah.
Or P and A sex or whatever. However, this guide also included like multiple ways to incorporate toys.
Yep.
Which I had never considered. It's not something I've spent a lot of time thinking about, I'll be honest. But I don't know, like there's ways to do it in which it's like becomes safer.
Well,
incorporating things that have been specifically designed for like personal use in that way.
That just seems like responsible.
It does. It seems like their very first tip in this guide was to like check it over and like sand any bits that like could
any rough edges.
Yep. Like it was very safety conscious, which I liked. I mean, I feel like that's the main thing that you would probably consider if you were writing a guide, as well as like positions and stuff, and
especially considering that it's a wet floor sign. It's very like health and safety conscious in the first place.
You're respecting its wishes. Yeah.
Or more its profession, I would think.
Yeah.
I think I've just personified this wet floor sign as like a health and safety officer.
Yep. Speaking of personification of the wet floor sign, so they not only have written a guide, but regularly draw porn for people fucking wet floor signs, but specifically Among Us porn.
Right.
And this is where, because I was like, of course, like one of the like hats that you can wear in Among Us is a wet floor sign.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where this popped up for them. So what they had, one of the answers that they'd given on Reddit was, I didn't have a precise moment of realising mine. It was a Pavlov reaction that got stronger towards wet floor signs. I feel it originated slowly over the course of 3 years of drawing porn of a character wearing a wet floor sign for a hat, but I wasn't aware I was feeling that way until a few other things happened. I drew porn of just wet floor signs because nobody did before, so spirit of Rule 34, I did my duty. After drawing it, I knew I liked it, but it still took me several months to take any action towards fulfilling my kink. I believe the point where I realised I wanted signs of my own for this purpose was when I watched a video on YouTube where somebody was simply showing off a sign and holding it. He had a pop-up cone and pulled it out of its holder. I could hear it open, but the sign was off screen when it opened, and I realised at that point something was awakened in me. I really, really wanted to see that sign open. Anyway, I bought myself some signs, and the rest is history. So within the guide as well, it included like the different types of wet floor sign, like the kind of standard like A-frame one, as well as like the pop-up cones and some of the other kind of variations, which man's done his research.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if it's your thing, it's your thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's said as well that he's got, like, as another kind of extra explanation for it, like he's got prosopagnosia, which is like face blindness.
Right.
So for him, like seeing like characters with faces, like never really like done much for him. So having the face like covered by a wet floor sign, like kind of helped to like take away for that. Like it helped make it easier. Like it was easier to like remember it than trying to like remember this kind of like moving a bit blurry face.
I mean, when you start digging into the sort of reasons behind why, it starts making a lot more sense.
Yeah, but I didn't know Among Us porn existed.
Rule 34.
I know. It's not something I've thought about for a while. And then having stumbled across it again, like, it's just mad to me just how much stuff is out there, how much art is out there. It's wild. Yeah. But yeah, good job.
1 out of 1. Here we go.
So our next one is proctophilia. This is a much harder one. I wouldn't have got this.
Can you spell that for me?
Yeah, so it's EPROCTO and then philia, like.
Yeah.
Like, I've heard of this kink before, but no, like, the paraphilia name.
Have you got any clues you can give me?
It's a kink that in porn, a lot of the time, is, like, associated with Brazilians.
Is it something to do with bums? Like, cosmetically enhanced bums, or just normal, like, bog standard bums?
It's not specific to that.
Right.
But it is specific to bums.
So am I close, but not quite?
Yeah. You're in the right area. It's specifically something that bums do, rather than bums.
Oh, is it
themselves.
like farting fetish?
Yeah.
Right.
Proctophilia is a sexual attraction to flatulence. Something that I've seen like a lot. Like,
aye, something that
I'm
very aware
common.
of, but wasn't particularly aware of the term to go along with it.
So, obviously, millions of modern examples of this. Like, it's quite, I would say it's quite a common fetish. It's something I've seen in person at a kink event.
Yeah.
Like, it's not
very obscure.
No.
But...
However, I was surprised to learn that James Joyce, so he was the author of Ulysses and Finnegan's Wake, was like mad into farting. Like,
right.
Some of the things that he wrote about farting and about his specifically about his wife's farts, were deemed like that controversial that they led to landmark legal decisions on obscenity. Like, man literally changed the face, what was allowed in writing, because he's like just absolute obsession with pumps. This is fucking explicit. Like, I'd be interested to see like how many fucks were in this full thing. So, my sweet little whorish Nora, I did as you told me, you dirty little girl, and pulled myself off twice when I read your letter. I am delighted to see that you do like being fucked arseways. Yes, now I can remember that night when I fucked you for so long backwards. It was the dirtiest fucking I ever gave you, darling. My prick was stuck in you for hours, fucking in and out of your upturned rump. I felt your fat, sweaty I felt your fat, sweaty buttocks under my belly and saw your flushed face and mad eyes. At every fuck I gave you, your shameless tongue came bursting out through your lips. And if I gave you a bigger, stronger fuck than usual, fat, dirty farts came spluttering out of your backsides. You had an arse full of farts that night, darling. And I fucked them out of you. Big fat fellows, long windy ones, quick little merry cracks, and a lot of tiny little naughty farties ending in a long gush from your hole. It is wonderful to fuck a farting woman when every fuck drives one out of her. I think I would know Nora's farts anywhere. I think I could pick hers out in a room full of farting women. It is a rather girlish noise, not like the wet windy fart which I imagine fat wives have. It is sudden and dry and dirty, like what a bold girl would let off in fun in a school dormitory at night. I hope Nora will let you off no end of her farts in my face so that I may know their smell also. You say when I go back you will suck me off, and you want me to lick your cunt, you little depraved blackguard. I hope you will surprise me sometime when I am asleep, dressed, steal over to me with a whore's glow in your slumberous eyes, gently undo button after button in the fly of my trousers, and gently take out your lover's fat Mickey, lap it up in your moist mouth, and suck away at it till it gets fatter and stiffer and comes off in your mouth. Don't know if you'd want it to come off. Sometimes too I shall surprise you asleep, lift up your skirts and open your drawers gently, then lie down gently by you and begin to lick lazily round your bush. You will begin to stir uneasily when I will lick the lips of my darling's cunt. You will begin to groan and grunt and sigh and fart with lust in your sleep. Then I will lick up faster and faster like a ravenous dog until your cunt is a mass of slime and your body wriggling wildly. Good night, my little farting Nora, my dirty little fuckbird. There is one lovely word, darling, you have underlined to make me pull myself off better. Write me more about that and yourself. Sweetly, dirtier, dirtier.
Wow. That's pretty intense.
That's pretty intense. It's pretty intense for 1880.
Yeah.
No wonder this caused some controversy. So I think these were just letters back and forth, and it sounds like maybe somebody found them and weren't they supposed to.
Yep.
Rather than like it was just writing this openly for everybody to see.
These sound like pretty private
Private fucking letters, yeah. Hearing the bits and pieces in the full context, yeah. Like, I love that this is on Goodreads. So, a proctophilia.
Yeah.
I'll do another easy one for you.
Right,
so,
okay.
acousticophilia.
Is that sexual attraction to sounds?
Yeah, good job. I'd left this one in just because, like, I'd seen some fucking, like, interesting ones on Reddit. The one that's popping to mind was, like, somebody saying they'd went to their friend's house and there was just like bits of paper everywhere, like we like just like paper confetti like over their house. And when they asked them like what it was, they were like, oh, like the sound they ripping paper like really turned them on, so they would like rip up loads of paper like before they had a wank, because like that was the only thing that like did it for them, was that particular noise. Interesting.
I suppose that's gonna have some kind of connection to like ASMR
Definitely.
stuff. Like,
I think this kind of ties in as well as like I don't know if it's like a kink, but something from like the BDSM and kink world that's like, I don't know how common it is, but it's something that I've like read about a lot, is like people like training people to like come at a certain like word or phrase. And like I feel like that's like the same thing, where it's just like something that you can kind of almost like train into yourself.
Yeah.
And that kind of can happen naturally, as well as it being like purposefully.
Aye, like a sort of like Pavlovian response.
Yeah. That's so funny. Me and Caitlin were talking about that the other day, and like she was talking about, like, has anybody ever thought that like the bell that he rang like reminded him to feed the dogs as well? Like he did it to his
like
cell as well as
him, so, yeah.
like as well as the dogs, and like I feel like that's like quite apt in this instance. Like I don't know, like a lot of people like listen to music or like have certain, I don't know, even like dirty talk and stuff like that could all come under this in a sense.
Yeah.
If that's something that you like need. Like I feel like people like they end up associating like certain words with things over time. Like really fucking specific like noises.
Yeah.
Like fuck that happening when you're like out on the street. Do you know what I mean? Like one of the comments under it was like, fuck being at your family's for Christmas. Like
Aye, that must be a bit awkward.
Cool. Good job. So our next one is trichophilia?
Has that got something to do with holes?
No. But I see why you thought that, because that's tripped. Tryptophobia, I'm sure, is the holes one. You might get there's. We heard about this fear the other day, and it had this at the start as well. It was like this. It was like trichophobia. I can't tell you what the person's job was, or it'll get away. But it was funny they had this job.
I'm really not sure.
Cool.
I'm at a loss here.
So someone in the crowd had shouted at it that they were scared of hair. And it was funny because they were a hairdresser, and it was trichophobia. So trichophilia is like sexual attraction towards hair.
Right.
And it could be any types of hair, but most commonly is like head hair.
Mm-hmm.
But this like kink in and of itself, again, it can have so many different forms. Like it can be the smell, it can be the feel. Some people, it's eating it. That's like a semi-common one within this kind of umbrella. Or like wanting to just like keep hair for people. I feel like that's like quite like a common thing people talk about. Like people like being creepy and like keeping folks' hair. That's like quite
it's quite a trope in like media and stuff. That
Lord Byron, who was an English poet in the 18th century, he was kind of considered like the leader of the Romantic movement during this time. Quite a famous guy, was known for keeping pubes for like everybody that he slept with.
All right.
And individually little labelled like envelopes that he kept at his publisher's house.
Why not at his own house?
I don't know. Maybe he was embarrassed. Maybe he was scared that his like future prospects would find them.
Yep.
So, but for a lot of people, it's like dependent on like the texture, the color, like particular hairstyles and hair lengths, and like it's specific to that one thing rather than just all hair.
Yeah. They've got like a certain.
They've got a type.
Yeah.
Cool. So I've got some honorary mentions that I didn't include because they're so obscure. There's not like a paraphilia attached to kind of match in with the guessing game, but I thought they were kind of worth mentioning to just kind of prove Rule 34 and that even things that you don't know about or have never thought about before, porn exists of it.
Yeah.
Just a couple of subreddits that I came across. Kind of standout contenders for me is glow tits, which is a concept like I'd never came across before, which is basically like, because if you've ever like put a torch to your hands, like to your fingers, and then you can like see the veins and see like the red kind of like lines and stuff going through them, like it's basically that but specifically on tits, so that you can like see like all the kind of internal workings of them, but also just so that they like glow.
Yeah, I can see how you'd get there, I suppose. Look,
like I didn't know that this was a thing, and like I'm definitely trying this now because I'm interested. But they light up pretty well.
Yeah.
My favourite one that I seen when I was having a look through was like someone dressed up as a ghost, like just with like a sheet over them, with like green torches like on their tits underneath that were like shining out through. It was pretty good. It was amusing.
Yep.
Again, whatever floats your boat, but like there's quite like a dedicated subreddit to this, and it's no something that I've even heard of before.
Yeah.
second one I'm going to mention just because, like, it was a fucking wild ride reading about this, is fed legs, which is a specific fetish where people enjoy women's legs being yellow. Which, like, is a bit weird, but it's not, like, that out there. But the backstory as to how this came about was the interesting part. So, the guy who created it was having, like, a recurring dream about this doctor whose goal was, like, fixing the earth and fixing, like, all the kind of natural disasters and everything, but also kind of upkeeping, like, God's ideal image of the world in this kind of, like, satirical, like, dystopian, like, kind of style a world where, like, absolute power is, like, corrupted.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted to upkeep like, women's modesty, so there was, like, a consequence to people going out with this. So anybody who had their legs out got their legs painted with this permanent yellow paint,
right,
almost in the style of, like, the kind of, like, Scarlet Letter, like, A for adultery kind of
mm-hmm.
that, like, all these immodest women would be branded with yellow legs, and wanted to kind of use what he'd learned from his dream to, like, create, like, a man-made fetish and see if it could be done, and created this subreddit to go along with it. And it seems to be a bit inactive now, but at its peak seemed to be pretty popular. It has been running for, like, 10 years, so...
Yeah. It's one I'd heard the name before, but never kind of knew anything about.
It was brand new to me.
Yeah.
But again, just kind of goes to show that there's fucking fetishes being born out of people's mad reoccurring dreams about, like, socio-political world issues.
Yep.
And the answers to them. And about, like, corrupt governments and stuff. So, fair. I don't know, there was, like, so many videos that used to get sent round, like, our primary school, which is so fucked up looking back. With, like, you know, like, 2 girls, 1 cup, and fucking 1 man, 1 jar. And, like, what was the one where, like, the guy was, like, coming on the My Little Pony? Like, I can't remember the name of it, but that was a whole thing.
Where they had the jar.
The jar. Yeah. Separate to 1 man, 1 jar. Quite a lot of jar focused ones. But, like,
I've actually seen people, like, in the last few years, like, going to, like, conventions like Comic-Con and stuff
dressed as that. Yeah, I've seen that a few times.
So, like, it kind of makes its way kind of fairly easily into, like, pop culture or kind of, like, nerd culture and stuff quite often. But
some of it does, and then some of it stays very fucking niche and very, like, out with, like, everyday people's like, experience. Like, that's why, like, I think so much of this stuff's, like, brand new to me, because I'm just like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah, you weren't terminally online.
Yeah, basically.
Quite a lot of this is just like, oh yeah, I've known about that for, like, years. That's as somebody who has been on Reddit since, like, first year in high school, there's not an awful lot that surprises me anymore.
I think the main takeaway for this is, like, if there's something that you can think of, whether that be, you know, TV shows and that, obviously they're, like, anything that's in popular mainstream, for the most part, there is porn of it somewhere on the internet. Mostly, I wouldn't even say mostly Reddit. I feel like Reddit's just where it's, like, easily found and accessed. Like, access, sorry. The more niche you get, the more of a challenge it is, but it probably still does exist somewhere on the internet. Cool, so up next we've got name that historical sex position. What I did like about this is, like, some of these terms are still based on kind of, like, pop culture stuff at the time.
Right, okay.
Very much in the same way as these days. With, like, I don't know, like, Spider-Man, for instance. Is that when you, like, wank in your hand and, like, throw it in their face?
I don't know.
I can't think of any of the other ones now. But there's some that are, like, pop culture references.
Right, okay.
And that's one of them. If no, a well-known one in this house. Cool. So, we've got Ride a Dragon upon St. George.
So what, you're giving me the name of the thing, and
And
I
you
have to guess the...
Like, what sex position it is. Or, like, what sexual scenario it is.
Right. Give me that one again.
So, Ride a Dragon upon St. George.
Is this going to be some kind of, like, cowgirl type
Yeah, good job.
situation?
So it was cowgirl. Like, woman on top, basically.
Yeah.
Because of, like, the kind of mythical story, St. George riding the dragon. This was the kind of influence for that. And around about the late 1600s. Give one's arse a salad. So this was popular about the mid 1600s.
Is this oral sex?
No.
No.
So this one's more like a scenario.
A scenario.
Rather than a specific, like, sexual position. It's quite, like, literal.
Not actually.
Sorry, I shouldn't have said that.
Not actually,
it's
like
not
salad.
literal at all.
No, right, okay.
I just mean...
I think you're going to have to give me this one.
So, it's having sex outdoors.
That's not literal
No,
at all.
like, what I was meaning is, like... it's not literal at all. I just meant
literal would be putting salad up your arse.
I mean, you kind of would be, potentially, if you were having sex outside. That was more what I meant, but, like, I did, like, aye.
Yeah.
So, groping for trout in a peculiar river. Again, this one's more of, like who your sexual partner is.
Is this like anonymous sex, or like kind of like just hooking up? No.
So this was like mid 1500s. So like they probably wouldn't have had like a common term for like hooking up, because that wasn't really like allowed.
What was the phrase again? Give me the...
Groping for trout in a peculiar river. So the clues like in the term. Sorry, that has not helped you at all.
No. You're gonna have to give me this one as well.
So it was having sex with either like a prostitute or with like your mistress on the side. So groping for trout was like a term for sex. The peculiar river part was like, it's no your wife.
Yeah.
Basically.
I think I was kind of part of the way there.
You were getting there. You were getting there. So, to ride below the crupper. I can give you a clue that will give you it instantly. I can tell you what a crupper was.
Alright, go on, let's hear the clue.
So, the crupper was a piece of horse riding equipment that kept the horse's tail erect. Oh, maybe it won't. So what's below the crupper at that point?
Oh, is this anal?
Yeah.
Right.
Aye, it either meant anal sex or just doing it from behind.
Right.
But most likely anal sex. Diving for pearls.
Is this oral sex?
Yeah. Specifically like cunnilingus.
Yep.
There was quite a lot of like fish themed like sexual terms in the 1500s when this is where this is from as well. A lot of like kippers and trouts and pearls and oysters and clams and yeah. I wonder if that's where like muff diving comes from. Like it's like kind of came for this like old school like
sort of nautical theme.
Nautical sea themed.
Yep.
Like eating seafood, that was one of the other ones. So the last one is giving someone a green gown, and this was the 1300s. Think about like what would make your clothes green.
Is this another having sex outside?
Specifically.
In the grass?
Yeah, good job.
Yep.
A lot of people shagging outside back in the day. I feel like that would have been a lot less. Not that it's socially acceptable now, But I feel like that would have been even less socially acceptable then.
Probably less likely to get caught, though.
True.
Well, I certainly feel like my knowledge of the newer stuff is far better than my knowledge of the older terms.
I mean, it makes sense. Like, we've got more context for the newer stuff. Do you know, like, a lot of this stuff probably made like total sense. But like, think about some of the terms that we've got nowadays for like sexual positions and stuff. Like, it'd be total fucking gobbledygook to folk back then, just the same.
Aye.
I feel like people are a lot more inventive these days, at least in their terminology for different like sexual positions and stuff.
I think they're just starting with a wider base of references.
Yeah, definitely. I really hope that I'll overhear somebody saying that they're going to give someone a green gown at some point. That feels like so threatening. I don't know why. Like, it's just, I'm glad that we've moved away mostly from like. In fact, we haven't even moved away from like the fucking fish themed shit these days. But it's still quite like prevalent. I love how a lot of the old terms are like very euphemistic, whereas these days it's for different reasons. Like, I think these days, do you know, it's more to do with like online censorship and stuff like that. Why all these terms need to exist for people to actually be able to talk about them online for the most part. Whereas back then it was more to do with like what was acceptable to like speak about.
Yeah.
But I don't know, having read fucking James Joyce's letters in private,
that was pretty wild.
But again, that was 1880. That wasn't all that long ago comparatively to like some of these other terms that were like, say, like 200-300 years earlier.
It felt very modern.
It did.
Do you know, some of the terms were kind of what dated it, but like the kind of structure and content felt very, very modern.
Yeah. Like all the swearing and that. I don't know why you never think of like people swearing back in the day.
Nah.
No in written word anyway. Like that feels modern. That's always something that like, I don't know, has came out of people like moving further away from like old idealistic like moral ways of thinking.
Aye, and I think also like it kind of feels like something that's come in as like we've moved away from like permanent like, you know, putting pen to paper and things, like where it's all kind of electronic texts and, you know, things like that, where like people write closer to how they speak, versus like it being like a formal written like piece.
But is that because, as you've said, we've had options, we've had different mediums in which we can like kind of like write to suit, whereas like everything back then was pen to paper. So you're going to get this kind of like discrepancy between what is a private letter and what is fucking Ulysses.
Yeah. Well,
I think that probably goes to show that like Rule 34 outlives the internet. In the sense of like, even in fucking 1880, there was things that were written about like different fetishes and different like...
Yeah. Aye, this isn't just because of the internet, but the internet allows people to find other people that are interested in the things they're interested in.
Like, have a platform to showcase.
Yeah.
In a way that hasn't been possible before.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't mean that like the need wasn't there.
Aye.
So yeah, this has been our Rule 34 episode. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you guys have any interest in either fetishes or like old school terms or even like weird like examples of Rule 34 that you want to let us know.
Yeah, you could send them in and we could do another little quiz at some point.
Yeah. Cool.
All
Cheers,
right.
guys.
Thanks very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us, you filthy little sinners. We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we enjoyed making it.
We're keeping this podcast deliciously ad-free, so if you want to support what we do, head over to our Patreon and join our Church of Sin.
If you're craving some new personally recommended kink gear, check out our website, thesanctuaryofsin.com, for all your naughty needs. and use the code SINPOD at checkout for a 15% discount.
Got ideas, feedback, or just want to tell us what made you blush? We'd love to hear from you.
You can find all our socials, including Instagram, Twitter, and FetLife, on our Linktree, which is linktree/thesanctuaryofsin. Thank you for sinning with us.
And don't forget to tune in next time for our next confession.